special snowflake. You are not special. And yet, we can create a special vibe. Each and every one of us will have to demonstrate to women that we are the tribal leader. That's the first main secret. From this point on, we are now tribal leaders. We are all equals here. I'm playing the role of teacher. You're playing the role of student. Even Tiger Woods had a coach, okay? Even he had a coach. I'm just going to catch you up to speed, give you some good insights, and then get you in the field so that we can actually work with intelligence. You fear the approach not only because you're hardwired to not compromise your value, right, to women. She tells anyone else. You, in a small tribe, could literally be weeded out of existence. So we need to be very careful and not telegraph interest to a girl and creep her out by it before we get indicators of interest from her. There is a method to the madness, a step-by-step algorithm, and I'll be zooming into that, all right? But the most important thing for you to realize is that you're going to be afraid, and this entire game cannot be played until you learn to cope, accept, and if not embrace, the adrenaline release that will take place. It is equivalent to jumping out of an airplane. It is equivalent to going up on a 50-story building and climbing onto the other side of the balcony. Or if you just want to look over and you get that adrenaline. Imagine you're looking over, really leaning over, excuse me, a banister on a balcony, and you're 50 stories up. You will get that hardwired pang, right? Adrenaline release will take place. Wow, that is a scary feeling. You know you're safe logically, but emotionally, your primal instincts kick in, and it is a scary thing. Now imagine having to work in that emotional state. You have to act as if you don't have it. It's like having a pebble in your shoe and walking as if you don't have a limp. That's all it is. The secret's to conveying confidence, even when you are within that adrenaline release, which is a response to potential threat. If you speak slowly and you add pauses between your words, it's a different character that you will have to don in field. I have trained lots of people. I'm a visual thinker, so I speak very quickly. But in field, that's the place that you'll be speaking slowly and succinctly and with the illusion of confidence. It's a character. You will train for this. If you were to put on a gay accent all day long, like my older brother, I'm the straight one of the family, black nails, not pink. My older brother, he's 44, I think now, and he is the gay one of the family. He's been, isn't that crazy? You meet all types. 15 years he's been in a relationship with the same man, and that's that. That's his life, his destiny. He and I are different in that way, I guess. I had a point to this. What was my point? Talking slowly. I bugged him for an entire day and with talking gay. Just all day long, talking gay. Hey, Rolf. Just all day long, just to piss him off and bug him. It was for shits and giggles. Well, the next day, I found myself still talking like this. It was the craziest thing. If you have an accent and you want to get rid of it, you can don a different accent on top of it, rather than trying to speak English. You know what I mean? You could add a Latin flair to it, and then people wouldn't know you're from Italy. You know what I mean? You could really screw with it. Or you're born and raised here? Yeah, you seem born and raised here, but there are some Indian cats who have that strong Indian accent. If they put on an Italian accent on top of that, they will sound like they're from Latin America. Isn't that crazy? Now, there are stereotypes in this world that we have to contend with. You're going to meet James Matador. You know, he's an Indian cat, but he's born in Texas. and he built his muscles up, and he wears cowboy hats. Hell, he wears my cowboy hat sometimes. He's my really good buddy, and he'll be speaking with you as well, along with Love Drop. He's a good cat, great in field, and he will be giving you some keen insights as well. I've traveled with these cats for several years now, and they deliver the goods with consistency. So you'll be in good hands with them as well. All right? Well, if you practice speaking slowly, it'll be easier to speak that way than to go back and revert to your old quick-minded communication style, because it's easier to keep going than to stop, and our brain will kick in. So it's something that you're going to want to train on, all right? How slow is slow? Well, I imagine everyone's deaf. I imagine everyone's retarded pretty much, because I'm going to speak very slowly in field. There are loud environments over the next 3 days that we will be entering into. And where there's a problem, there's the opportunity. There's loud music. God damn it, I can't talk to her. But she wouldn't be there if it weren't for the music protecting her. Yeah, we're dancing, hey. She can protect herself from you. There's a correlation between how loud a club is and how hot the girls are. Something to remember the next time you say to yourself, oh shit, this place is too loud. There are always two quiet areas of any public gathering, of any bar. I'm not out to make you clubbers. I'm just out to get you into the dojo. This is the training grounds where you train your gambits. You internalize these game pieces. How many game pieces will you need to internalize? How do you do that? You practice a routine a good half a dozen to a dozen times. And when you get a good 300 different little gambits, some of them are stories 5 minutes long, some of them are just one-liners. Some of them are just ideas in body language, whereby you don't say a word, but you perform an action. For instance, when I'm speaking to a woman, if I put my hands out like this, I'm subcommunicating, put your hands in mine. If she puts her hands in mine with her hands down, that was a compliance test. As I'm speaking to her, I just put my hands up, right? If she doesn't put her hands up, I can do this as the next key moment. If she places her hands face up, then she'll be thinking to herself, what does he want with my hands? Right? Like, you're going to read my palm or something? And if I do that to a guy, right, his hands will usually come up like this. If I do it to a girl and she's interested, her hands will be face down because she'll presume hand-holding. It's a subconscious thing. That subtlety, that subtle little exchange of information to find out where she's at, that's subcommunication. Then I can lower my hands. Do they lower with mine or do they stay up like that? If she's rigid, that's an indicator of disinterest. But if it comes down, she's compliant. She doesn't feel, I don't feel tension in her arms. That's an IOI, or indicator of interest. See that little subtlety, that little gambit? There's no words involved. There are no words at all, except for the routine I'm running on her while I'm doing this simultaneously. But that is a gambit. So there are verbal and nonverbal gambits. But cumulatively, there are about 300 pieces that you're going to have to need to know. Imagine having a good 300 different text files in your head. Each one of them you have practiced half a dozen to a dozen times. If you could get good, great, at about 300 different pieces, you will be able to fill the 7 hours it takes from meeting a woman to beginning a sexual relationship. Somewhere between 4 and 10 hours on average, or 7 hours. 25 to 40 minutes to getting a phone number, but to build enough comfort, and this is just backwards engineering my success stories and the success stories of a good dozen other pickup artist buddies of mine. It's 7 hours. Through accumulation of minutes like a lawyer, I spent 30 minutes on day one and then 40 minutes on the phone. That you can bill as well. It's what we call headspace. See, the phone, our primitive emotional circuitry really isn't hardwired for phone use. So when you're on the phone, it's this illusory headspace that the two of you share, right? It's a good comfort building location sometimes. As long as you know she's not busy over on the other end, she's got legitimate time constraints that are being imposed upon her, or she just changed the kitty litter box before you called and isn't in the headspace to speak to you. So there are some things out of your element when you're talking about phone game, right? 7 hours. We want to fill these 7 hours. There are a series of phases. So certain gambits, game pieces, or text files are useful for certain phases to complete the objectives of these phases. Now, ultimately, there are 9 linear phases. All right? There's a beginning, a middle, and an ending to courtship. We got to fill those 7 hours. The beginning is what we call pickup. The middle is what we call mid-game, right? Like if you get a day 2, girl, you have her phone number, you're doing your telephone farming, and you're going through a list of numbers. Okay, I have to call this girl today. You give her a ring, you go see her, or she comes and sees you, you hang out again. That's your day 2. Now you're building comfort. This game is won in comfort, not in pickup. You'll become masterful pickup artists, but to become a masterful Venusian artist is a whole different ballgame. That is handling your day 2, handling all of seduction, which is the ending of courtship and the beginning of a relationship, the whole point in the first place, right? Many of the tools and gambits and tricks and tactics that we will learn for courtship is directly applicable to relationship management, all right? If I were to zoom out even further, from the point I meet her to the point I break up with her, there's a beginning, a middle, and an ending to an entire relationship. The beginning is courtship, the middle is the relationship, or what we call a sexual relationship, and then, of course, we have the breakup stage. And the breakup stage goes from her no longer giving you sexual access, right, to the point where you're trying to get it back or you don't care, to the point where you never talk to her again. That last communication. That is a relationship cycle. I love long ones. If I'm going to take the time to draw a girl into my reality, and I'm going to be a qualifier, I'm going to qualify the girls so that I have value for women to be with me. In other words, a woman will know that I have options and that those options are high-valued women, that they're beautiful, they're young, they're smart, that they're not just the next girl. Some guys run around and just have sex with all these girls randomly, right? Do you know what a disappointment it is to a woman who discovers that the last 5 girls you've had sex with were ugly? Curious, isn't it? You don't want that happening. So imagine having sex with an ugly girl. You're looking down on her afterwards, after the deed is done, and saying, I don't want that again. Not only is it unfair to her, but it's unfair to yourself, because all that effort in order to get her in your bed, it took just as long to get her into the bed as it would have a 10. So my suggestion is, raise your standards. You want to be a tribal leader? You want to have high-valued women in your life? Why not start now? Women's attraction mechanisms are designed to seek out the tribal leader. There are certain cues that a tribal leader manifests, demonstrates. And those cues are built into many of the gambits or little text files in your head that I'll be uploading, that all you have to do is regurgitate in field, and it'll appear as if you are the tribal leader. It's sort of a fake it till you make it exercise. You don't have to be the president of the United States. That's not what I mean by tribal leader. There are a lot of tribes. You just have to be a tribal leader. The tribal leader of your own friendship circle, your family, your loved ones. If you say things like, oh my God, my boss will kill me, you're not the tribal leader. You demonstrated lower value. Her attraction mechanism will feel the pang. In the same way that a girl tells you to fuck off and you will feel the pang of rejection, she will feel the demonstration of lower value just by saying, my boss will kill me. Right? Or if you were to say, I can't do something, for instance, get earrings or my dad will kill me. That's a DLV, a demonstration of lower value. Men feel these subtleties, right? But women really feel it. Our attraction mechanism is calibrated for a woman's replication value, but a woman's attraction mechanism is calibrated for a man's survival value, much more than his replication value. Sure, there's 20 to 30% of her attraction will be his health, his physicality, right? But 70% of it's going to be his social value, his survival value. I don't hang out with a girl to protect me, right? It's a replication value that I am hardwired to be drawn to. Women are different. They can have any dick. Some dicks are special. She needs to hang out with you, see what type of person you are. There are shortcuts to take. If she sees that you're pre-selected by other women, she physically sees it, she's going to feel greater attraction towards you. It's called pre-selection. Many of the gambits, the little text files, will be filled with these pre-selection triggers. We also have leader of men, because we have to show we're the tribal leader. We need to demonstrate that we're the leader of men, whether it's in a story. And if it's in a story, these triggers are what we call attraction spikes, or DHV spikes, demonstration of higher value spikes. Pre-selection, like if I were to say, my last girlfriend was an exotic dancer, don't be a hater, a very beautiful young lady, my little knucklehead. And she calls me out of the blue. She was an exotic dancer, as I said. And out of the blue, at 2:15 in the morning, she gets followed. She was being followed home by some customers. Some assholes hopped into a car, started following her home. So she calls me up. Now, I had just gotten off of stage. I'm a performing artist, an illusionist. And I was working in Toronto at a high-capacity club called The Government, and I'm good friends with the owner, Charles, and we're all hanging out after the show, and we're in the VIP section, and we've got the bottle, and all my friends are there and having a good time. But I get this call at the most inopportune moment, but she's my girl. I got to take care of her. So I tell my friends, guys, we got to roll. No questions asked. We just hop into the car and we roll. She tells me, I'm being followed. What do I do? What do I do? I'm like, stay on the line, babe. I'll take care of things. Pause that story there. Can you feel the DHV spikes? We've got pre-selection in there, because I'm not talking about the time my buddy and I got drunk. Some guys do that. We won't do that anymore. Those are DLVs, demonstrations of lower value. We need to pull that shit out of our game. Okay? We need to impose DHVs. In this case, I've got pre-selection and leader of men. When I say to my boys who I have loyalty to, we got to roll, no questions asked, we roll. There. That story is demonstrating that I'm the leader of men. If I can demonstrate it physically, live, within her group, 1 girl, 4 guys, and I go in, and I can work the guys in front of her where she can just observe me, then I become the leader of men. I can take on a teacher role. I can educate them with something. I can lead them. When you lead the men, the women follow. So that's another attraction mechanism that we have to repeatedly trigger. Okay, another switch in her head. There are 5 main switches. The third one is Dustin.
No, you didn't.
You weren't even listening.
Protector of loved ones.
Protector of loved ones. Exactly. We want to be the protector of loved ones. You can do that in storytelling. You can do it live. It's a harder one to demonstrate live, right? Because it's more of a scenario that needs to be manifested. I use simple ones. If I'm bouncing a girl out of a club, I put her on my arm, tell her that's all she gets. And as we're walking across the street, I will be very, very, hey, stay close. No. My job is to get you across the street safely. So as long as that happens, we're gold. All right, now you can get off me. So I kind of make it a little bit of a bigger deal, right? How do I do this leader of men? Let's say there's a waiter taking an order on a day 2. Don't have the girl order for herself. You will control the interaction by saying, what are you having? She'll have this, this, this. What else would you have? Right? And you will use that as a demonstration. Make sense? The fourth one, of course, is willingness to emote. If you keep that fake smile on your face, that American smile they call it, then she can't see what you're really like. She can't trust your emotional circuitry to be normal and fully functioning like every other human. The emotional circuitry in your head is ubiquitous with every other human being on the planet. It's the same. Same circuitry. You're not a special snowflake. And she needs to have a sense that your emotional circuitry is normal. So if someone offends you, you can act offended. Right? Hopefully you'll be a high-valued male whereby you will be slow to be offended. Right? Because as a social person, you've seen it all. As a person who supposedly is social and used to beauty, you'll be unaffected by her beauty. Right? Your stories will convey DHV spikes of pre-selection by beautiful women rather than by just any woman. Right? So, pre-selection, leader of men, protector of loved ones, willingness to emote, and that means in the stories that you tell, you can be expressive. It's a performance art. There's a character that's being demonstrated. It isn't the words you're saying, because virtually any routine will do. That doesn't mean make it up on the fly, because then you may throw in DLV spikes accidentally. You may be telegraphing DLVs. In your subcommunication, in your body language and stuff, we got to rip that shit out, and we're going to take care of that over the next 3 days. All right? And finally, the last one is successful risk taker. We need to demonstrate that we're a successful risk taker. An example of that would be this story. When I was a kid, I got into magic. I loved magic, but I was afraid of performing in front of people. You know, I was 13 years old, and I would perform a couple magic tricks for kids on the street and whatnot. So the first time I ever did a magic show was a birthday party magic show. I was 19 years old, and it was for $50. And I needed the $50 because I bought 2 tickets to see David Copperfield, and I had to pay my mom back. So it was like, oh, this is awesome. Not only do I get to see Copperfield, but it's completely paid for my doing a show. Wow, I'm just like him. Meanwhile, it's a little birthday party. But it was a big challenge for me because I had never done that before. I wanted out. For 2 weeks, I was shitting a brick because it was money. There's $50 on the line, and I needed that money. I can't fuck up. Pause. See how it's not a big story? It's when I was young. I did a little birthday party magic show, but I was a successful risk taker. That's where that story leads off into. So those are the 5 key points that we are going to have to trigger in her attraction mechanism again and again and again and again and again and again. About 15 triggers, specific DHVs, and she will want to fuck you. The hard part is to get those 15 DHVs uploaded into her head. What I'm doing now is I'm playing what we call hot game. Hot game is where I walk into the room and the room already knows me. And that's thanks to, TV shows and books and Conan O'Brien and all this other nonsense and the Center Spread and Rockstar magazine and all this. Mainly guys will recognize me, not too many girls, but that's going to change seeing as this show that I've designed is designed for women. That's hot game. You walk in and they already have DHV spikes already uploaded before I get there in their head. But let's not mince words. I'm very good at the cold approach pickup. That's my mastery, I think. Very good at that. Cold approach isn't where you walk up to a girl all by herself and work her and then try to upload DHV spikes into her head so that she can't help but respond to the pang of emotion to try to get value from you. She's going to give up her replication value in exchange for your survival value. That's a relationship. Worth taking care of a girl for. She becomes your girlfriend. 5 attraction switches. Repeated. Click, 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 click. In order to upload them into her head, you're going to need permission to do so. If you walk up, just walking up alone is to convey that she must have value, perhaps more than you have. So when you walk in, if her value is here, when you just walking in, your value will be considerably below her. Unless she has seen you with girls, unless she has seen you, the leader of men, before you approach, unless she has seen you, in a music video, unless she has, there's all these different things to raise you up before entry. We need to raise our value, and every DHV spike raises it. She won't let us DHV ourselves, though, if she thinks we are trying to get value from her. So we can't open with asking questions like, where are you from? You can't open within the first 3 minutes caring where she's from. If you say, hi, where are you from? You already lost the girl if you did it within the first 3 minutes. If you go in and do a name exchange, hi, I'm Eric, what's your name? Women of beauty have been hit on so often. By the time they're 23 years old, they've been hit on 7,500 times. I'm not kidding you. From 17 on, they're being farmed as models. They can't help it. They've got a high replication value, so the 40-year-old photographers are running around trying to snag them. These girls have to socialize themselves, get up to speed very quickly, right? By the time they're 23, if they were to be hit on, let's say 5 times in a typical day, which is not uncommon for a girl, she goes to the library, if she goes to the gym, if she goes to pump her gas, if she goes to a public gathering like a club, because she too is looking for a high-valued male. She's looking for a mate. Trust me, they're all looking for mates. It is easy to get women. We don't live in a small 50-person society anymore. There's a population explosion. There are so many beautiful women, it boggles. I am boggled by it. I've been to Austin, Vegas. I mean, I moved to Vegas, for crying out loud. That's how good it is here. LA, New York City, I'm not really fond of. Toronto, Miami. I have a place in Miami. This is where we met Dustin. And these beautiful women are all over. But you have to go to where they are, because there are some ugly places. Toronto's not so hot. Problem with New York City is it's a bridge and tunnel affair where you meet a girl, but she lives an hour away. And if you don't live in downtown Manhattan either, you may live an hour away the other way. So you're now 2 hours apart, having to only meet at the grimy corner of, 5th and Collins. I'm going to get you through this. There is a method to this madness of it all. We need to construct a game plan to get these women into our lives. They're all out there. We need to construct a game plan to deal with the approach anxiety that we will get. Come up with some rules that we could train to adhere to for a time when we need it. The 3-second rule, as an example, is a great rule for handling approach anxiety. It takes approximately 3 seconds to go from here to where she is when you first see her. 3 seconds to come up with what you're going to say. You don't sit there, look at that scenario and go, wow, she's beautiful. Okay, what do I say? What do I say? Or it's also known as the, I forget what we call it. What do you call it when a newbie says, what's my opener? It's a newbie statement. What's that? Well, it's definitely approach anxiety. It's analysis paralysis, exactly. Where you can sit there too long and you can stale out the set because now she realizes that you aren't going in, but you've been staring at her for 10 minutes, right? And your approach anxiety increases to a point where you just can't do it anymore. The 3-second rule solves that. You do not think, what's my opener? That is not a thought that you're going to want to have. That's like somebody, this is my iPhone. Thanks for catching it.
We don't have bills next.
Notice how he just catches it. He didn't think, oh shit, what do I do? You reacted. You didn't respond logically. You reacted emotionally, physically, right? That reaction is necessary for the 3-second rule to be adhered to. It's a rule that we all, as men, have to adopt. Because seeing a girl is a lot like having a set of keys thrown at your face. Are you going to catch them, or are they going to smash into your face? You adhere to the 3-second rule in a reactionary manner. We're going to train over the next 3 days for that. Okay? That way, any of the fear that you do get will be minimized, for crying out loud. It's only 3 seconds. If you don't have an opener in your head, an opener again is a small story that initiates the conversation. We're going to be giving you openers, and then over the next 6 weeks, once you've internalized them and you understand how to open with consistency, and 100% of the sets will open. Sets open. If you ever get back turns, that's not acceptable. Hey, knucklehead, thank you, show's over here. That's a part of the being dynamic within the set, and we'll teach you that. It's called microcalibration. I'm going to have Matador, who is a master of it now. I caught him up to speed a good 2 years ago on it, and he's one of my best buds, so we talk about it all the time. So he's going to come in and tell you about the ins and outs of microcalibration. He's got a few keen insights that go beyond what I came up with as well. We're sharing in the expansion of the knowledge base of pickup. You know, ultimately, that's what I want to do here, is I'm going to hope to encourage some of you to not just be good enough so you can get a girl, but to be good enough so you can teach your sons. When you teach this stuff, you really learn. You're going to want to teach people. You can even teach new people in the field a couple bits and tips and tactics on how to meet women in a way of dominating a guy in field, in a way of befriending, because the information I give you is very valuable for other people as well. Spread the, spread the happiness. Lead them in. You're going to need some friends in your lives in order to play this game correctly, and in order to satiate your behavioral circuits, your emotions, to feel happiness. You put an ant in an ant farm all by itself, it'll die. Put it in with 24 other ants. You got 25 ants in an ant farm, and they'll build complex structures in harmony together. It's amazing, right? You are designed to survive and replicate. But you also have an attraction circuit, which is really a survival and replication value judging system. If you were to align with other robots on this planet that have S&R value for you, that would improve your S&R chances.